Good morning, good morning. Here we are with the Building Global Influence Masterclass series at Charmaine Hammond, and I'm here on behalf of Teresa DeGrope. She's actually presenting at TED today. I'm so excited for you, Teresa. This is awesome, and we are here today with, I love to say this now, Dr. Shawne Duperon. I just love how that sounds, Shawne.
I just tell you too, people know I've been working on this PhD for so long. I actually hit send, got accepted. My final document is final. It takes a little bit of time after you do your defense, and I'm a done deal like a half an hour ago. So,
I was just happy dancing. Well, we should all be happy dancing in our seats for Dr. Shawne Duperon. Well, this is so exciting. This is an interview I've just been looking so forward to because I want to tell you about Shawne a little before I give you her bio. Shawne is a dear friend of mine. And I met Shawne through the Evolutionary Business Council, although I think I had been stalking her on on social media and stuff like that a while before that because I love the work she's doing around media. And then I got the chance to meet her through the Evolutionary Business Council, which you all have heard me talk so much about before. And Shawne became my media coach. And I want to talk about why having a media coach is so critical. When my first book came out in 2010 on Toby's Terms, I figured, what do I need to do to promote it? I need to do book signings and media. Book signings were in my comfort zone. Media, not at all, especially TV. And I got the first call. Actually, they called for my dog, Toby, not for me. Can you imagine getting a call for your dog for media? The book was about my dog. And I went into panic mode. Shawne does this great kind of nonverbal sound thing where she imitates what butterflies in your stomach sounds like, and I went into fear mode. Yeah. That's it. And I went into fear mode like I've never been in before, and actually started talking myself out of all the reasons why I shouldn't take that TV appearance, why I shouldn't go. Had a call with Shawne. She coached me through it. It was awesome. I learned so much of what to do next time, and I love media. Shawne, I love media.
Isn't it fun? And people listening like, fun? Oh, once you get your fear levels gone and you know what you're doing, it is so much fun. And boy, does it grow your business. Oh, my goodness.
Oh, does it grow your business? That is so true. Let me give you the bio on Shawne, and then we're going to dive in. So from London to Athens to Munich to across North America, 6-time Emmy Award-winning media coach Dr. Shawne Duperon travels around the globe, and she's educating corporations, entrepreneurs, universities, and government agencies on authentic communication and leadership. Many of you listening to today's masterclass have seen her featured in major media across the world, CNN, ABC, Inc. Magazine, USA Today, to name a very few of the many she's been on. Her personal passion is forgiveness, and many of you are very familiar with her project, Forgive. I am a huge fan of Project Forgive, and I think this is really going to change the world in terms of how we look at forgiveness and how we build authentic relationships with people. Her movement on global forgiveness was created through a film called Project Forgive, which is now a flourishing nonprofit leadership foundation. Her bio used to say PhD candidate, but as of today, let's do the happy dance again. Dr. Shawne Duperon is a gossip expert, and I was actually presenting to a corporation on Friday, Shawne, and I was talking about you, and I said gossip expert, and they went, a gossip expert. It's exactly what Shawne is, a gossip expert. She uses gossip theory to actually make the film's 5-minute video go viral. This video, just to say if you haven't seen the Project Forgive video, it's fantastic. I go on and often look at this as a reminder of what good video looks like, and it's an amazing video that has gone viral and has brought in so many people around the world to get behind Project Forgive. It's reaching millions and millions in social media and has captured an endorsement from Archbishop Desmond Tutu. How amazing. Wow. Shawne, and we need to add, and Nobel Peace Prize nominee. Oh my gosh. Congratulations and welcome.
Aw, thank you. I'm just tickled to be here. Two things. I'm sad that I don't have my, I'm on a desktop that doesn't have a picture, so you can't see my smiling, awesome face, so just feel it, okay? And thank you for that beautiful introduction. Woohoo, let's rock and roll, baby.
All right, and we got some love coming in from you right off the bat, Shawne, so I have to read this. And all of you who have are on the web platform, you can type in your comments, your questions for Shawne. I'm going to keep going back and forth to the chat box, but we've got some wonderful comments. Liberty says, so exciting about the PhD. Woohoo! 3 exclamation marks.
Rock and roll, Liberty. Thanks.
Robert says, oh, congratulations, Dr. D. So happy for you.
Thank you. Yay.
Kelly says, love PF, that's Project Forgive. And Shawne Kelly says, what? Nobel Peace Prize? Congratulations, Shawne. Oh, that was a great example of good gossip, actually, last week, Shawne, if we go back, when you were finishing up your PhD, the good gossip that surrounded you around the world was so inspiring to me as an outsider looking in.
It was so beautiful, and it was so overwhelming. And even with this Nobel Peace Prize nomination, this one's a little tougher for me because it's such a sacred nomination, and that's one that's a little difficult to talk about or good gossip about, because it's such an honor to be bestowed with.
Yes.
And it's not something like you can just say, oh my gosh, high five. No, this is more about generating information and the global movement that we're causing around forgiveness. So that's a new one too, and it's very humbling indeed, I must say.
Well, I can just imagine what's going on for you with all of this excitement. Liberty says here, wow, this way too much excitement for Nobel Peace Prize nomination. I'm going to burst. Liberty. And then Holly says, I love how inspiring you are, Shawne. I couldn't agree more. Now, let's talk media, because Shawne is a master leader around how we can use media to grow our influence, grow our business, grow our brand. Shawne, I want to start off with some mistakes, because that's where we started the conversation, that I was making mistakes in media. One of them was my discomfort. Another one was I didn't know how to build relationships with media. Another discomfort, and I think a lot of us face this, is I was so worried about flubbing up, as you call it, on camera or even on radio, that I was so in my head. And you actually noticed that within about 30 seconds of doing a practice interview with me. You said, Shar, get out of your head. Tell people what it means to be in your head and how this creates mistakes on media, and then how we can avoid it.
Yeah, in your head is what stinks, because what really works in media and being in an interview is, and I know this sounds like a cliche, it's a conversation. And what's driving it is fear. Because when you don't understand how media works, you have a lot of fear, and it makes a lot of sense. When you start understanding how media works, your fear level goes down. It's a very, very simple process. I could say the same thing with a PhD. Oh my gosh, did I go through high fear? I could say the same thing for you when you started your business. You're like, oh crap, what do I do first? And then of course you have waves and moments of it in your business, like I don't know what to do next. But that's what's so great about media, is there's just some basic things. Learning and understanding how it works will actually lower your fear, so you're not a weirdo on camera, or a weirdo in the radio, or even a weirdo with bloggers, or even on Google Hangouts. Because when you try and start being perfect, and you start trying to do it right, you get so in your head, that's when you really suck. That's really the truth. And so I can't say finitely what to do right now. I can give you a couple of tips to help you get back in your body. It really is about knowing how the newsroom works, and give up the notion of, when you're first starting, no selling. You're not there to sell anything. When you get into sell mode, that's when you're horrible. That's when you're in your head trying to get the most out of this media coverage. You are there to be of service to the viewer. When you get that in your bones, then you can start making a difference and sharing what you normally share in your business, how you help people. It's just like when you go to a networking event. You ever been to a networking event, Charmaine, where people are coming up to you and they're just trying to sell their services? Oh, I clean buildings, and here's my card. I can clean your building. I don't even have a frickin' building. It's weird, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. You've been to those networking events, And this is the same thing with reporters. When you are just trying to get your book talked about, when it's all about you, that's, I call it me, that's when you're weird, and that's when the media can feel that a mile away. They're saying, well, if you want to advertise, why don't you just go buy some ads? I need someone who's going to bring value to our viewers. And you bring value to the reporter by bringing value to the viewers. It's really that simple.
Beautiful. You were being good gossiped about a lot on Thursday, Friday, and Tuesday recently, Shawne, because I was doing some training for some nonprofit organizations around presentation skills, and you had created a video for one of my clients around media tips for a nonprofit group, and I played that video there. And what really jumped out for them, what basically this video, folks, was 3 minutes of juicy tips from Shawne around working with the media, and one of them was. Just in terms, you were talking about alien face, how when people, you said actually when fear, when knowledge goes up, this is my favorite Shawne quote, by the way, when knowledge goes up, fear goes down. That was what Shawne taught me, and the audience loved that. Every single person in the room wrote that down, and as they listened to the rest of your video, Shawne, they could really figure out how that actually made sense for them. But they love the alien face, and I talk about it lots when I talk about what I learned from you in media, so tell us what alien face is.
You're going to have to show it for me because they can't see me. It's like you're so passionate about making a difference. So let's say your thing is healthcare, and oh my gosh, you have to not eat wheat, and you have to not eat milk, and you have to not eat that, and you will feel so good, and you get so intense in your passion that you actually look angry. And the reason you actually look angry with alien face is because you're so passionate about it, and which is a good thing. That's a good thing. And the more passionate you are, though, the more intense you become. And that's when you actually start to look angry. So the game is, how do you relax your face? And these are just little, it's not like something you're going to get right away. It's something you start practicing, and you start practicing it in real life. And I work with a lot of chiropractors, and chiropractors can also almost become zealots in chiropractic care. And that gets old after a while. It's like same thing when someone has a religion and they just harp on you about a religion. Finally, you just want to say, please, enough already. Just be kind to me and show me your religion by being kind to me. You don't have to thump at me about your religion. And that's all religions. And that zealotness, that passion, it's about relaxing for a second, and because I can go intense about gossip and the impact of good gossip. Because usually when we think gossip, we think mean and nasty, right? And actually, the research shows that mean, nasty stuff is such a small percentage. It's only like 5 to 7%. Notice how relaxed I am talking about my passion. You can actually feel my smiling. And when you have the visual and you see the smiling, we deeply resonate anthropologically to smiling. Same with a radio interview. When you're on that radio interview and you just increase your awareness about your intensity, that's when you can lower your intensity. As soon as you get present to it, it actually starts to dissipate. As soon as you get present to it, it actually starts to dissipate. And you can actually take a breath for a second and actually smile in the moment to really generate and cause the message you're really wanting to share.
Beautiful. We have a comment here from Darlene, who says, hello from Arkansas. Hello, Darlene. And we have, this is really cute. Kelly says, I'm a little weirdo who's trying to understand media. I know the movement that started because of my last book needs media to take off. No intense faces? Check.
Excellent. And you know what's a great tip there, too, is put a little Post-it, and Charmaine, I know you've become masterful at this skill. Put a little Post-it on your computer, like when you sit down at your desk in the morning, put the word smile. And what I want you to do is when you sit at your computer, I want you to smile uncomfortably. You could hear me doing it, okay? Smile so uncomfortable that your cheeks hurt. Hold that for 15 seconds. You're actually working the muscles in your face. Because here's the thing, when you're passionate and intense, and those are the kind of people I attract, because you have to be pretty passionate and intense to work through fear and working with the media. You just do. You care that deeply that you're just going to face your fear and move through it. And when you practice smiling, you're actually causing your face to get used to the concept of smiling. Because when we're passionate and intense, how you do anything is how you do everything. How you do anything is how you do everything. Sherry Huber coined that phrase. And if you don't smile a whole lot in real life, chances are when you're in intense fear with the media and worried about how you're going to do it, you are not going to smile there. That's when the alien face comes up. So the game is to practice smiling in real life and get that face moving, get those muscles moving so you have more ease with smiling. And I always say, so media advice really isn't about the media. It's just the context of media. It's actually advice for life, because think about it. You smile more in life and people are going to smile more at you. You become more charming. You get more girls or boys, whatever your preference is. You get more of what you want because we biologically respond to smiling. We just do.
Beautiful. Shawne, one of the challenges that a lot of people face, especially when they're going on TV for the first time, even if they've practiced and they've watched TV appearances to really prepare. I was watching the news yesterday, and there was a fantastic new book that came out by a local author, and really great story, one that needed to hit the media. And she was able to secure some TV, and every time the reporter, so they're in the studio, and every time the reporter would ask her a question, she would look at the reporter, and then it was so visible. Then she'd go and look at the cameras that were in front of her, and it was really obvious to me, or it felt weird, because I believe she was looking at the wrong place. Can you talk about, when we're in the studio, where we need to be looking and why?
Yeah, that's a great question. Those are the little things that actually calm you down, because if you don't know where to look, that's when you become that weirdo. And I love being in the weirdo club. Woohoo! Okay. The game is always look at the reporter. Always look at the reporter. I'm going to say it again. Always look at the reporter. That's whether you're in studio or you are being taped live. Anchors do a lot of work to get good at looking in the camera and having that skill down. They have their chins down. There's a lot of skill to it and a lot of finesse to it. You do not have those skills, nor do you have permission to enter people's living rooms and look them in the eye. They've built a trust relationship with the anchors that they're watching, so the anchors have permission and are encouraged to love up their audiences, so that's why they can look them in the eye that way. Your job is to merely look at the reporter, especially on the set. Couple of caveats to that. When you're on the set and maybe you're on a panel, your job is to look at the reporter and also at each person that's speaking. Just like if you're at a networking event and there's a circle of 4 of you, your head naturally goes to the person that's speaking. You want to do the same thing when you're sitting in a circle with a panel on the set. If the anchor is on your right side, the other person on your left side starts talking, you merely swing over and look at them just as if you were in a normal conversation. You are never to look at the camera. You are always to look at the reporter. And that will give you ease right away, because when you ask the reporter, hey, where do I look? You're already indicating to the reporter that you truly don't know what you're doing. Then the reporter is going to get uncomfortable because they're like, oh no, I got more of a newbie than I thought. So now you know, never look at the never look in camera, always look at the reporter. Perfect.
Beautiful, thank you. Those are kind of some of the tips. When you went through those with me, Shawne, when I started working with media, and I would have to repeat them back to you. I mean, you were really helping me lock this in my brain. It made that whole, I think the whole first 20 seconds, they've mic'd you up, you've left the green room, you're walking from the green room to where you're going to sit to be interviewed. That, those few steps you take can be nerve-wracking. And you also had taught me something where you said, I am a tree, I am a tree. Now, I didn't say that out loud because that might have been weird.
Yeah, talk about that. Tell us how you do it, Charmaine. That's great.
Because I remember I thought I was going to pass out, literally. My first TV interview, walking from the green room, I looked great, I'm all ready to go. And then I had to take those steps, and it was really daunting, with the green screen behind me and cameras everywhere, and there's lots of stuff going on in that moment. And Shawne had said to me, Shar, when you step up and you take that first step, I want you to smile, put your shoulders back, take a big deep breath, and then I want you to say in your head 3 times, I am a tree. I am a tree. And what it did, Shawne, for me is it got me breathing. I realized I was only breathing like right into my throat. I wasn't breathing properly. So if they had asked me something, I probably would have started gasping for air. And the second thing is that, I think of trees as being sturdy, and they move and they flow. And it gave me like a jolt of confidence, I guess you could say, as I made my way from the green room to sit down. And when I sat down, I didn't have to get all weird, getting settled and doing all that. I just said it one more time in my head. I smiled as you taught me to do, and then it just became a conversation.
Beautiful, beautiful. And what you're describing, too, is applicable to anything. Think about your first day of high school. Do you remember the first day of high school? Some of us, oh my gosh, don't take me back that far. But that first day of high school, when you don't know where your rooms are, it's so big coming out of middle school, and there's so many people. You're the small fish in this small pond, actually, but you don't know anyone. You don't know where your rooms are. It's awkward. You don't even know where the lunchroom is. And that feeling inside, that's what a first media interview is. And the truth is, and Charmaine, you can attest to this, you know, after 2 weeks of being in the school, you know where everything is. You got it handled. It's that not knowing what you don't know and not knowing it. As soon as you know it, it's a done deal. It is so done. And this experience that you're talking about, grounding as a tree, it's really to ground you into Mother Earth, or ground you, you know, in spiritual realms. Some of us would say ground us spiritually, or ground us in our centering. Another technique similar to that pardon me, that the first time I went on CNN, I wanted to puke. Here I am, the media trainer. Okay, I'd never been on with 1 million viewers or more. I was freaking terrified. I'm like, oh, everybody's gonna be looking to me to do it right. I had Gary Weinstein from Project Forgive was with me, and I'm worried about him because, you know, he's never even done a TV interview before. And so what I did, and it's advice that I had received years ago, is I just simply got so present to the moment. It's very meditative. You know, like people in meditations, they talk about when you're doing a walking meditation, being present to a blade of grass, being present to the tree, seeing a leaf fall. That kind of meditation speaks to me personally. So I did a meditative practice as I was coming to sit on CNN because I really wanted to puke. And so I felt the balls of my feet hitting the steps as I walked down onto the set. I was literally feeling my whole foot move each step to get to my chair. I felt my bum on the chair. I leaned back and felt the small of my back hitting the back of that chair, and just taking a deep breath, absorbing it all. And I remember one of my thoughts saying, Shawne, and it moves me to say it, this was the first major interview for Project Forgive. And I said, Shawne, this is part of your history and your destiny. You're going to remember this for the rest of your life. Please be present for it because it's so precious. And I rocked it. I nailed it. And I got so present. And my own courage moves me. And I know people listening, some of you will hear that as hubris. Others, you will hear it as just profound confidence and leadership. And that's really, when you're moved by yourself and your own courage, to me, that is the epitome of growing as an individual. Because when you can be moved by yourself, you know, moved by your own actions and inspired by your own actions, the sky's the limit with everybody else. Oh my gosh, you're moved by everybody. It's so easy to love people. It's so easy to forgive them. It's so easy to it's easier to connect with people, because a lot of times we just have junk in the way of being inspired by our own courage.
Beautifully said. Laura Rubenstein, a friend of yours and mine, Shawne, we were on a webinar this morning, and we were talking about the role that social media plays, and we were talking about you, the good gossip expert. What is the connection from your perspective of when, as a speaker, an author, a coach, an entrepreneur, you're getting media? How do you now blend in the social media aspect of it with the media that you're going on to or just stepped off of?
Oh, good question. And I love Laura Rubenstein. She's so good at what she does. And actually, they go hand in hand. A lot of what I teach is social media as well as traditional media, and how do you leverage them both. And they both go together. And actually, you know, the biggest impact for media for me has been when we pitch a story and send out a press release or whatever, the first thing they do is they go check out our social media. And that seals the deal, because they just go, dang. Because here's the thing, like in this day and age, especially, there's other things going on, obviously. Reporters want their stories to be shared in social media. They want the click-throughs. They want the views of the interview on the TV newsroom websites. So one of the things that we do when we do get coverage, we email everyone and say, hey, go to this website, go to the reporter's story and make a comment how awesome this reporter is, because they need love. They want appreciation. They want more eyeballs to see what they're doing, because they're committed to making a difference. And so there's so many things at play now in this digital day and age, that it's not just traditional media. Because just getting it on TV and saying, oh, great, I got on TV, and that's it, that's all you do, that's like lost marketing opportunity. And, and you know, when you actually dive into your marketing strategy for your year, really focus on what is it that you want or need and what's going to best support you. Because one of the things that when I work a lot with my clients when we do like a grounded theory on their gossip marketing is like, I'll give you one example. Do I have a minute to tell you this?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. One of my clients is a video game company. They're a $25 million company, and they originally approached me for social media advice. We want to rock out our social media. And one of the things that we discovered while doing a grounded theory, or really diving into what they're up to, where they already got influence, and where they're really rocking, is we found out that social media might be 5% of where they focus. They already have a platform of where they have highly engaged people. There's a big party going on one of their platforms. And so it's like moving their party to another location. You lose people when you move locations when you're having a party.
Yeah.
So the game is, where do you have a party going on now, and how do you amplify the party you have going? So maybe you're rocking it out in social media. Maybe your Facebook page is just rocking, because I know a few of the folks that are listening, their Facebook is rocking. It's getting media coverage. The strategy would be more about amplifying it by sharing it on your Facebook page. To increase credibility, increase the possibility for sales, increase trust. That would be one way to do it. Same way would be around sending it out in your newsletter. Hey, we got this coverage, great tip. Got this coverage on Shawne TV, great tip on how to network at the office party. So it really, and when I put the headline for that in my newsletter, I'm always writing it about not look how great Shawne is. It's because that's a given. You can already feel that. The sexy woman doesn't need to say she's sexy. She's just sexy, okay? So it's obvious, rock and roll you got in the media. You really want to give them the benefit of why they even want to watch it, what's in it for them.
Beautiful, beautiful. You know, a great example is just, I believe it was last week, one of our friends, Deborah Poneman, she's speaking at the Global Influence Summit. I know some of you here today, actually, I can see some names that are familiar that you're coming to San Diego. And Shawne
she is fantastic speaker. She is knock your socks off speaker.
She is a fantastic speaker, and she was recently in OM Times Magazine. She's the cover for OM Times Magazine. I'm pretty sure it was last week. What I watched was so beautiful, Shawne, because Deborah has a lot of I'm going to call them champions. I think Teresa de Grosbois calls them mavens. And what I loved to watch is exactly what you're talking about right now. When people went on social media and they saw that Deborah Poneman was on the magazine for this month, they went out and shared it, and they talked about things they'd learned from Deborah, or what she said 10 years ago in a workshop that Deborah was speaking about. And collectively, there was all this amazing energy around not only Deborah and the magazine, but also her content, her message. And that was just beautiful to watch, the sharing, the authentic sharing that happened. And I thought it was a great example of also honoring the media, OM Times in this case, for you know, for the coverage that they're providing.
Yep, you're spot on. That's exactly what happens. That's exactly what happens with a viral movement. It's exactly what happened with Project Forgive, because people are touched and inspired by Deborah. And she's impacted so many people. She does that miracles thing with Marcy.
Yep.
Go look that up. That's Deborah Poneman, Poneman. Let me give a shameless plug for her. I'm good gossiping about her because she does this Year of Miracles thing that is just breathtaking. They have thousands of people all over the globe that play with her around this, and all these people love her up, and they're going to share about it because they're touched and inspired by her. That's why people share.
Exactly. We've got some questions and comments coming in very fast here, Shawne. Let me catch up. So Kelly kind of did a wonderful recap for us. Kelly says, number 1, sticky note saying smile. Number 2, always look at the reporter. Number 3, if you're with a panel, look at who's speaking. Number 4, smile. Put your shoulders back, smile, and say, I am a tree. Check. Great summary, Kelly. And then Kelly's adding on, number 5, get grounded, become connected to Mother Earth in a way that you're fully present. And when you're moved by yourself and your own courage, the sky's the limit, quote, end quote. Holly says that was beautiful. That was when you were talking about that piece, Shawne. Kelly says, a question for you. How do you know when you or your material is ready to be in the media, Shawne?
Yeah, you know what? I get that question all the time. It's really about, can I call myself an expert? And it's the same thing I would say for speakers. Well, I charge $5,000. Everyone says I should be a $10,000 speaker. When should I be a $10,000 speaker? Those to me are all the same question. And the answer is when you say so. When you say so. I'm going to just say this out loud because this is new for me. Because these are about deserving and worthiness conversations. And I've been a $7,500 speaker for a long time, and I just raised my fees to $10,000 a speech, and or a half day. I'm sorry, a full day, no, half day. It's new because we just created the documents with our bureaus and stuff. And I'm saying this so people can possibly apply it to themselves. People have been saying to me for 5 years, you should be charging $10,000, $15,000. And that's awesome that you think I'm that awesome. I'm really good at what I do now. I get it. But my internal way of being did not match a $10,000 speaker. I didn't feel like I could confidently in my own being, on my own, sell it, that I would waver, that I'd feel uncomfortable. And sometimes with being an expert, you just got to just jump in the frickin' cold water and just say, okay, I'm an expert. Because chances are you know a lot more about the topic, you've been studying it for a while, and sometimes we keep finessing things in our perfectionism, taking courses, doing things. I get one of the coaches that I work with, one of her goals for this year is to take no courses. I took my little magic wand and I said, your goose is cooked. You don't need any more classes. You're brilliant at what you do. Stop.
Yeah.
Because sometimes when we keep trying to do other stuff to make ourselves better, it's actually a way to not face rejection. Because it takes courage to face rejection. And if we keep working on ourselves, we never really have to face rejection because we keep wanting to get better. Are you with me, Charmaine, here? Are you with me?
Oh, yeah.
So it comes to the point where you just declare it. All right, I'm a freaking expert. I declared myself a networking expert. I'm just good at it. No one anointed me. No one said, oh, you're a networking expert. No, I just said, I'm a networking expert, period. Now I'm a forgiveness expert. Didn't know a whole lot about research on forgiveness, so I know a lot about gossip, that's for sure. And over the course of the couple of years putting together this documentary, I've really become a forgiveness expert. I really have.
I love how you frame that. You've got some comments just cruising in real quick here. Rosemary says, you nailed the rejection point. Yeah. Rosemary says, cool. Kelly says, you're absolutely right. It's a worthiness question. So then I say, now. Excellent, Kelly. And then she says, it makes me want to cry, though. LOL.
Oh, I can so relate. And to me, that's the shame that's underneath. I'm going to share this. This is very vulnerable, and I'm going to share it anyway. I had a lot of shame come up when everyone was sharing about the Nobel Peace Prize nomination, because I'm still learning who am I going to be in this designation or this honor of being called this. And it's such a humble thing. I love shameless self-promotion. I'm all about promoting ourselves without shame and standing in your confidence. And I felt embarrassed because of all the attention. And in the future, in these higher leadership roles, I'll be more cognizant of how I want that to evolve. Because it's such a humble thing and it's such a sacred thing, I would do it different next time. But here's the thing. How the heck am I going to know? I've never been nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize before. I didn't know the feelings that were going to come up or the honoring of that. Just like when you go into a media interview, you can get prepared as you want. I do trainings. I got all kinds of stuff to help you with stuff like that. Stuff's going to happen that you don't anticipate. Feelings are going to happen that you don't anticipate. The most important piece of it all, for me, is allowing yourself to grieve your losses. You didn't know. You screwed it up. It wasn't that great. Who gives a flying crap? Like, seriously. People say, don't go on camera, you're going to ruin your reputation. Bull crap. There is so much information out there now. There's so many videos out there now. Unless you get up and say you're going to shoot the president or shoot Trump, and I just meant to say that sideways. Sorry, Trump is an interesting fellow. You can't really screw it up that bad. You just can't. And it's really about taking that risk and letting yourself feel that high level of discomfort.
Yeah, that was one of the biggest lessons I think out of everything I took away from the work that you've done to help me over the years, Shawne, and going to your media mastery programs, the boot camps. One of them was just being able to deal with myself if I didn't think I was spot on. I remember doing one interview. Oh my gosh, and it was with my dog, and I said to Shawne, "What if he does something crazy on TV?" Well, on this particular episode. And he does something crazy every time. So I just learned that I have to be comfortable with what's uncomfortable for me. And that was one of the biggest lessons I took away from you, Shawne. And when I learned to be comfortable with what might come up, it actually allowed me to then learn how to kind of play with the dynamics. And I remember doing in October recently, we were on our Million Acts of Kindness tour. So we're traveling 14,000 kilometers in this big sponsored motorhome and doing all this media. And it was Halloween, and my marketing director said, "You and Toby ought to dress up." Okay, that took me so far out of my comfort zone. And then of course we go into fear mode, so we avoid things. So I avoided getting a costume until about noon on October 30th, which is basically 8 hours away, 10 hours away from. I was going on first thing in the morning, so I've got a few shopping hours left to get this costume. All they have left is Wonder Woman. Oh my gosh! So here I am dressed as Wonder Woman with the little head bandana thing on and the cuffs that go on. I mean, I was so out of my comfort zone. And then Toby, the dog, who's on there with me, he's the star of my book. He gets so rambunctious because there's all kinds of things on the set that dogs like skeletons, so all these bones, and then there's pumpkins that look like big balls that he could play with. And he broke free of me on the leash, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, what's he going to do?
I remember.
Well, you know what? In all honesty, I didn't have to worry about looking like a weirdo in my Wonder Woman costume because they were not even looking at me. They were just following this dog around the studio as he takes apart the skeleton and then brings the host, Courtney, who was interviewing me, he brings her this big plastic rat and puts it in her lap, and they start playing fetch. And so that was when I thought, okay, I really get it. I thought I got it, but now I really get it, that when you can learn to relax into yourself, you can create a really memorable experience for people, and it doesn't have to be perfect.
And so I just want to emphasize how masterful you are in dancing in the moment when things are going on. It's like dancing in a real conversation. And I'm even going to use making love as that example, because when you're totally in tune with your partner and your movements are in sync, it's awkward. I know I'm not the only one. And sometimes it's so beautiful and flowing, and it's a dance. And you've become so masterful at that dance. And one of the dances that you do, because as you get more strategic and you grow in this conversation, you get really strategic on your messaging. Because when you're first starting off, you're just happy you did the frickin' thing, right? And then after you start doing it and you're starting to understand how this works and you get good at it, you actually start seeding, what I call seeding, and is actually selling within your media conversation. And one of the things that you are masterful at, Charmaine, is talking about the sponsors that sponsor all your activities and your tours, and how you get that in about that sponsor that did this, and because of so and so, this company, we were able to create this, and the way that you do it is so natural and so beautiful. It really is a masterful skill. Brilliant, miraculous things can happen for you because of your media coverage, and it takes a little bit of work to do this. I hate when I see this stuff. Get on media right now and become a superstar. That is just crap. Yeah. It takes work. You've been doing this for what, 5 years now? Maybe
yes.
7 years?
Yes, almost 6. You got it.
Yeah. And your impressions, your media impressions, are in the hundreds of thousands. Mm-hmm. You are absorbed and welcomed very readily by the media now. You're confident. You feel good. Any media would be happy to take you on camera, and it took you a masterfulness of time to be able to do that. So I hate that conversation like, oh, do it once and you'll be great. That's just crap. It doesn't work that way.
I agree. It does take work and practice. We're getting some comments. Wendy says, thank you, Charmaine and Shawne, for hosting this. Great tips. And somebody asked, are we recording this so they can keep listening to it? You betcha. We'll send you out the link. You can keep listening. That's part of learning how to do media is listening over and over again, listening to the examples, because sometimes we can only take in a certain amount of information at a certain time. Now, one of the things that I think is so valuable to address, Shawne, and you are masterful around this, and it's all about relationships. I know Teresa, when she talks about building mass influence, and she actually wrote a book called Mass Influence, she talks about the importance of relationships as well. Share with us how to build relationships with media and the benefits of building relationships with media.
Yeah, perfect. And actually, your primary goal, especially as you're starting out, is to build relationships. Because people will say to me, oh, Shawne, I was on MSNBC or I was on CNN. I'm like, cool, when? And they say, oh, that was about 7 years ago. And I'm like, dang, if you're in a relationship, that's like only having sex once every 7 years. Yowza! I use the sex analogies or the dating analogies because they work. I mean, you know, you want an ongoing relationship. You want to create a relationship that reporters think you're so fantastic, your information is so great, that anytime they have a story around a celebrity gossip, they say, oh, let's call Shawne. You want to become their resource, so they come back to you over and over and over again. And the ways that you start building those relationships is we call it piggybacking. Charmaine, you know this piggyback story more than anything. And that is looking at what people are talking about now, what's being talked about in the news, and how can you jump into that conversation and piggyback off what's currently being said. And so, like what's going on in the world right now? I'm trying to think. I haven't looked at the news today. Trump, the big one was Trump not participating in the Republican debate. Like that, he took his toys out of the sandbox and said, I'm not playing. All kinds of stories on that. You saw it all over the media, all over TV, all over the radio. If you were a kindergarten teacher and you pitched a story saying something like, Donald Trump is behaving like how we would say inappropriate behavior for our 5-year-old class. If you don't get your way, you take your toys and leave the sandbox. We've got 3 tips on how to re-engage and, you know, participate so you're not being a 5-year-old or whatever. You following my line of logic here, Charmaine?
Yep, I am.
Yeah, jump into the line of logic that's going on right now. Snow has been a big story. People are taking pictures of, and the things that are going viral that are ending up on the news too are your dogs running about in the snow. There's a big snowstorm on the east side of North America. So everyone's going, you know, like what, 3 feet of snow or whatever? I don't remember the total numbers. But that was a big story last week. If you're a person who does travel, you can say, okay, the big storm's coming up, 3 things you can do to prepare in advance so you're not taken by surprise if your flight is canceled. Those are the kinds of stories that the media are looking for. Those are the kinds of stories you pitch when you don't have a relationship, because your game is to build a relationship, letting the reporter know through influencing them that you get their world, you get what they're up against, and that you want to best serve them, that you're not all about you, you're a narcissistic you and selling your book.
Got it. Got it. One of the real big lessons for me when I started working with media was actually the mindset shift that you created for me, Shawne. I remember the very first boot camp that you taught, and you said I won't get the quote perfect, but it's pretty darn close. And you said basically that media is waiting for us to contact them, that they need stories. That was such a huge shift for me, because I had never thought of the fact that we can help media by sharing our stories, our events, our information with them. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, they're dying for our stories. The reason they keep using the same people over and over again, first of all, because they're courageous enough to pitch. Second of all, because they know that they're good on camera. And the reason I'm focusing on TV is because it's the highest skill set. It's the same conversation for print, just TV's the hardest. And when you call up and pitch a story, if you're a weirdo on the phone and you're nervous and your voice is shaking, it doesn't matter if you have the Pope spending the night at your house. Well, maybe if the Pope is spending the night, that might work. But if you feel lacking confidence on the phone, excuse me, pardon me, they aren't going to do the story. They're figuring out within 10 seconds if they're going to play with you, because based upon how you feel on the phone. So a lot of the work that I do is how do you do it correctly so you're actually speaking in their world so they will be more apt to cover your story. Most of the time it's not because they don't want to cover good stories. I hear that all the time. They don't want to cover good stories. It's like, no, it's because when you call you feel like a weirdo and they can't do a story with you because they don't think you have, it's their reputation. If they go to their news director and say, hey, we should do this story, and you turn out to suck, You make them look bad. They get paid to create great resources. They need great resources, and they are dying for stories. And so the game for me as a good gossip generator and a media coach is to teach you how to do this, because reporters have this basket of apples of the same stories that are coming to them. They need some different kinds of apples. They need some kumquats. They need some watermelons. They need different things in that basket. But what happens is folks go in and start throwing the watermelons in and all that, but they're not approaching the media in the way they need to hear it. And that's been the dilemma. So it's really in how you're approaching them that it's missing, and that's why I spend a lot of time teaching people how to do it.
One of the questions that came in, I think it was through Facebook about a week ago, someone who couldn't join us live today, but I said I'd ask the question so they can hear it on the replay. The question was, how do you thank the newspaper for writing an article about you, or how do you thank the TV crew or the radio host? What do you do to stay in relationship with them?
Yep. And so just so you know, all the rules that I'm sharing, I would abide by any rules, and then once you know them and you start doing, you can frickin' break them all. Okay, just like when you're dating your husband, you're not apt to like go a day without showering, or
without makeup.
You're putting on lipstick and all that. Doesn't mean you can go around and be a slob. That's not what I'm saying. But you have a little more freedom after you get to know in the relationship a bit. And the general rule of thumb when you're first starting out, broadcasters, TV, radio, I'd even include bloggers in there that are independent bloggers, not working for like CNN or something like that. You can send them presents, and the bigger the better. Go big or go home. Send them a big basket of fruit. Send them flowers. Send them chocolate, and the bigger the better. Because my motto is, if they've done an interview with you in the TV newsroom, when they get a big basket, they bring it out into the center of the newsroom so everybody can see it. It's like a clout thing too. It's kind of cool that somebody sent you this big basket, and then they share it, and then of course they start sharing gossip about you. Where'd you get this from? Oh, I got it from that business gal that was talking about influence. And I was like, oh, she seemed pretty good. Do you think I could do a story on blah, blah, blah with her? Would she be good for that? And the person's like, yeah, you know what, I'll give you her contact information. So they share resources within the newsroom. Print is a different animal entirely. Print is very, very different. Even the hardwiring, as Lisa Menini would say, is very different for the people that are attracted to these industries. And I remember when I was a reporter, when I was working at NBC, I was a health reporter, and I was sent to this Kaiser Foundation. It was a 9-month course where a bunch of reporters got together that were health reporters to talk about best practices and what's going on, blah, blah, blah. And I was the only TV person. They were all print people. So they were people, from New York Times, from, Boston Globe. I was so not like them. I think of the Sesame Street thing. What thing belongs and what doesn't go together? I was the one that did not belong, because my hardwiring, broadcast people, woohoo, let's rock and roll, ah, ha, 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 ha. We're party people. Print people are very quiet. They're very introspective. They're internal thinkers. They're very serious. So when you're sending gifts, I'd really think twice about sending a gift to a print person till you know them. A gift could be a thank you card in the mail. It could also be a $5 gift card from Starbucks saying, I just simply wanted to buy you a cup of coffee. Here's a $5 gift card for Starbucks. So they know how much it is so that they can graciously accept that. I would not be sending big baskets of fruit or chocolate to print folks.
Got it. Wow, these are so valuable tips. I love the conversation of relationships. Teresa and I are actually doing a conversation with Alex Mendozian today at noon, talking about building relationship capital as part of how we build our influence and work with influencers. And I believe the conversation of building relationships with people that are your champions on social media, with people that work in media that you've just been able to be on their TV or radio show with. I think it's so important, because as for all of you that are listening, that are speakers, authors, coaches, entrepreneurs, you've got stories throughout the year. You have new books launching, tours happening. And like Shawne said, you can pretty much piggyback on what's going on in the world. Like there's lots of opportunity for media. We've just got to get out there and build those relationships and really honor the people who support us in getting the message out. And I always say do our due diligence by getting the training, the coaching, the mentoring, so that we can really serve them when we're in their studio or on their radio show.
Yeah, and even when you're pursuing that reporter, go look them up on Twitter and start retweeting them a bit. Give them some love and some energy. And be sure when you retweet or share your link, be sure to put that reporter's name so they can feel the love of you sharing that. That's really important. And Charmaine, you've been doing that with the San Diego magazine. What is it? The San Diego?
Yeah, there's a few of them in San Diego, some San Diego newspapers, and it's been awesome. I've been tagging. I often tag you, Shawne, because you're my media coach, and then I tag one or two of the different media, the San Diego magazine, for example, or the San Diego media outlets, and it's been great because they've been sharing. Actually, two of them now are promoting the event on their online event board for us, which is phenomenal.
And that's exactly what happens. That is so exquisite. Excellent.
Well, the other thing that I thought was really cool is that we're getting media opportunities. When we did our last Million Acts of Kindness tour, we were actually getting media opportunities by tagging the media. So, and I found that when I was doing this, so at Twitter specifically, I'd be on Twitter and I'd say, coming to Manitoba, such and such a date, and then I'd tag one of the media outlets. We were getting tweets back at 11:30 at night with then a private message through Twitter saying, awesome, we'll get you on the air, and then the private message would say, here's the producer's name, or here's the news desk name to send your press release to. And I couldn't believe the number of media opportunities we got simply through Twitter.
Yeah, coming to you. That's what's really important to point out, that as you start putting this initial work in this, it comes back to you. Especially when you're in your authentic flow of why you're here on the planet and the difference you want to make. And I know the people listening to this know that it's going to be scary, and the game is, to get through the fear, focus on your passion. When passion expands, fear decreases, and that's really what happens. Increased knowledge, lower fear, increased knowledge, lower fear, and it's really not that deep. I mean, it's so fun.
We have lots to learn from you, Shawne. I know. I'm so excited you're going to be speaking for us in San Diego in February at the Global Influence Summit, and I know this is a taste of what you're going to be giving people at the live event in San Diego.
Yeah, I'm excited. We're going to really focus on specific messaging so people can leave feeling like they have a specific message they want to share, and how to say that in 3 sentences, because 3 sentences are really important. Also using downstrokes so you aren't saying it in questions. I think we're going to be doing 3 sentences because it's really important. And a lot of times when we're frightened, we have those upstrokes and we're not even present to it. And it just, you start getting present to stuff, it disappears. It's just part of the game. So really excited, and I know all the speakers that are coming, stellar, stellar, stellar. If you're really wanting to grow your business in this realm of speakers, entrepreneurs, authors, bloggers, this is the cream of the crop that are coming to this. All our dearest friends who are major influencers are going to be there, so I'm really excited about it.
It is going to be an awesome event. I'm just trying to get my information up on the screen today, folks, and it's not wanting to go up there.
So, are you doing yours on sponsorship? What are you doing your session on?
Yeah, I'm going to be talking about sponsorship, and boy, oh boy, what you're talking about, Shawne, just is such a great connect to talking about sponsorship, because one of the biggest benefits we can offer sponsors. I mean, one of the ways that we had our 32-foot motorhome sponsored by the amazing Fraser Way RV was that one of our media partners, Canadian Traveler Magazine, BC Travel, came on board and provided them with additional media coverage through their magazines and online magazines, and did that for a number of our partners. And it was a wonderful learning for me about how partners can actually leverage their relationship with one another to create even a more exciting outcome. And so what you're talking about is so important in the sponsorship world.
Yeah, and I'm excited to hear, and I have to say, every time you do a sponsorship talk, Charmaine, I am writing script furiously. I'm good at sponsorship. I am. I'm good at it. When I listen to you, it takes me to a whole nother level with my sponsorship. Like, oh, crap, that's a great idea. I'm going to start doing that. That makes perfect sense to me. And so I'm even can't wait to hear you talk about sponsorship. You are the queen of that for sure.
Thank you. Well, and it's February 18th and 19th, folks. I really hope you can join us in San Diego. Up on the screen, we've got the information. The website is globalinfluencesummit.com. You can see the incredible speakers that we have. And right now, the registration is $220, which is an amazing offer for 2 full days of these incredible speakers. The price goes up in February, so really important to register now. There's about $997 worth of incredible gifts that you'll be getting from Natalie Ledwell, Deborah Poneman, myself, Teresa de Grosbois. A lot of the speakers have put in gifts for you, as have our incredible sponsors like Marla Tabaka, who I know you are dear friends with as well, Shawne. So
awesome. I can't. And how many people are already registered? I know there's over 100.
Oh my gosh, way over 100. I think with our right now we have about 170 people coming to the event. It is going to be off the charts amazing.
Excellent, and it's the networking in between that really grows your business too. I'm so excited. Yeah, and I also have to say a chunk of the money goes to Project Forgive.
Yes,
really warms my heart. So
warms
really,
my heart too.
Say it again.
I said it warms my heart too that we're able to support Project Forgive. It's such an important movement that's happening in the world right now, and it gives me great pleasure to be able to support that through the Global Influence Summit.
Beautiful.
And Shawne also has a gift for all of you that have listened today, which we're going to email the link to you all in the follow-up webinar so that you can access that. And thank you so much, Shawne, for your generosity.
Yep. Let me just tell you what the gift is. It's with a good friend of mine, Joan Stewart, the publicity hound. My expertise is broadcast. Hers is print. Her and I have been friends for 20 years. I love this woman. This woman's a hoot. We actually spent, it's a 20-minute talk, and I actually scribbled through the whole thing. We really talked about demographics, like finding your targeted demographic, but we don't belabor it. You know, like as soon as someone says targeted demographic, shoot me in the head. We talk about that and then where to find them. And I got some awesome ideas that I'm actually implementing as part of my gossip marketing strategy this year. It's a stellar audio, and I will listen to it again myself. It's so good, and we're going to give that to you.
Aw, thank you, Shawne. I can't wait to listen to it. That's going to be fantastic information. We'll send you all the link out in the follow-up email, as well as information about the summit. It's on the screen right now. We hope you'll register. Come and spend 2 days with us in San Diego. Especially if you live somewhere where it's snowing. Oh, Shawne, I want to thank you so much. This was content rich. This was a massive amount of information to help people build their business, their influence, their reach, their growth through media. Thank you, thank you.
You are my absolute pleasure, and thank you for being a gracious, loving, giving soul that you are. Mwah.
Mwah. And thank you all for joining us on the Masterclass series. On behalf of Teresa de Grosbois and I, we appreciate you being here, and we'll see you in San Diego. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Shawne.